All right, Sonic Yogi, hello and welcome to the Stephen Shiels radio show. Happy New Year. Good to see you again.
Thank you, Stephen. Happy New Year to you.
You know, what's been happening for 2022? You got a New Year's resolution going on?
No resolutions, but I've been really busy. So it seems like January just flew by and here we are in the beginning of February. So my resolution is just to keep on keeping on one day at a time.
Exactly. I could see it's winter time for you where you are in Atlanta. How's the weather?
It's fine. Atlanta's a pretty mild area, so we're like 50s right now. Every once in a while we'll go up into the 60s, and then we had a couple of cold snaps with some little bit of snow here and there.
We've been having a very wet summer this year. It's been raining. The grass just keeps growing. I'm fed up with mowing the grass all the time.
Yeah.
But I've really enjoyed hiking, and I got an app called All Trails, and it's good. It encourages people to plant a tree, and I came across on the App Store, and that's what I use to plan my hikes and go for I'll do a meditation by by a waterfall as well when I can.
Wonderful.
Just switch the phone off.
Yeah,
it's nice
hiking.
It's nice that we're not in a lockdown. You know how this Omicron variant's been going around. Has it been going around in Atlanta?
Yeah, it's the numbers were quite high. I would say they were about close to 3 times as high as the peak previously. So, I mean, it was really almost off the chart. So that was going around, and it seems to be settling down now. And things are resuming some normalcy.
Yeah, it's good because we need to get back to normal. But this is how society was living in the 1918 Spanish flu. Similar to what we are today.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine what normal should be at this point.
You got Johnson & Johnson vaccine. Have you had a booster yet? Because I'm due for my booster this month.
I haven't had the booster, no.
Are you going to get it, or do you have to get it?
There's nothing mandatory that says anybody needs to get it here. I haven't made up my mind yet there. So
because when you listen to Joe Biden, I listen to Fox News because I like to know what's going on. Joe Biden's trying to bring in vaccine mandates in some states. Same in Australia. Kanye West wants to tour Australia, but he's like, I don't want to get the jab. And the Prime Minister, Scott Morrison, is refusing visas. Like Novak Djokovic got deported. I feel that New South Wales in particular is just become a bit of a police state at the moment. Maybe signs of the New World Order.
Yeah, well, I guess it seems like, there's a lot of people concerned about that on one side or the other. So honestly, I haven't followed it super closely with the same amount of concern as others. I'm just more, or less focused on, what do I need to do to stay healthy and, that kind of thing.
I've got a new music video called The New World Order.
Nice.
I kind of write my music to be, I express myself politically, how I feel when I write. It's on my YouTube channel.
Cool. I'll check it out. Thank you.
Check it out and leave any opinions that you have as well. And I've got a track called Judas. That's political as well. Because there's been tensions with the Ukraine, Sonic Yogi, Vladimir Putin and the Ukraine lately. Joe Biden, I think, is going to send US troops, possibly. The Prime Minister's telling Australians to get out of the Ukraine. But how much of it's real and how much of it is media hype as well.
Well, it's hard to say, I guess.
Mm,
I don't have much of an opinion on that, but I do remember going to Russia.
mhm,
When was that? It was in the 2000s, and I think John McCain was running for president.
mhm.
I don't remember what year that would have been, but we went over there.
2008.
Was that about when it was?
Yeah,
Good memory.
against Barack Obama.
Hmm. Um, so um, yeah, I went over there during that time, and of course, our media said certain things over here, and then we went over there for some music concerts, and I happened to see some English um, papers over there, which kind of assessed the situation differently. So I'm not
Mm,
sure that it's really possible to know exactly the details
mm.
of those types of things. I think we get a very general and watered down view of the situation a lot of times.
Yeah, sadly, John McCain died.
Hmm.
He would have been a good president. He was a war veteran from Vietnam.
Yes, he seemed like a good guy.
Better than Donald Trump. I can't stand that guy, Sonic Yogi. I'm fed up with him.
Yeah, I think you're not alone there.
Mhm. Exactly. But no, I like to keep up to date because know what's going on with Russia and the Ukraine as well. Yeah, 2022 seems to be calming down with this Omicron stuff at the moment, but I don't know about vaccine mandates. It's kind of harsh.
Yeah, well, I think I'm not sure what I could add to the situation, but I do feel like everybody should have the freedom of choice.
Mm,
That's my opinion.
yeah. It's the same thing in Australia too. It's like the government wants to police everything.
Hmm.
Closing, opening borders all the time. Like
Yeah.
before Christmas, you should have seen the lines for a COVID test. It's ridiculous.
Mm, interesting. Well, is there a lot of political tension around that over there?
Yeah, there was during Christmas, and the rapid antigen tests,
Mm,
like $20 a test, and I'm not paying $20 just for a test. That's a rip
hmm.
off,
Right.
and people were scalping them.
Wow.
What about it where you are? Were they free?
Um, let's see. If you go to a drugstore, you can get a test, and I believe it's free. Yeah.
Oh, you guys are lucky.
Yeah.
So this is what's going on in Australia over Christmas,
Mm.
you know. But how's you got a new album out? I did a meditation with it. I was very impressed with it. How is this have you published this already on Spotify?
No, it will come out on February the 11th.
Amazing album,
Thank you.
you know. I'll give it a 5-star review.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Stephen.
I'm doing one of your courses for a second time on Insight Timer as well, going through that. I see you've got a huge following on Insight Timer.
Yeah, it's been a wonderful thing to share there,
Mm,
and glad to do it for sure.
mm. And so what do you have a New Year's resolution?
Um, well, no, as I said, I'm just kind of taking it one day at a time, and kind of moving forward. I guess maybe an informal resolution is for me to do yoga,
Hmm.
practice yoga each day. The physical asana. I always meditate every day, but I haven't always been good recently about doing the physical practice, or at least last year. So this year I'm focused on doing that each day.
Mm. What about breath work? I've been doing breath work.
I like to do that. I actually do that before as part of my meditation each day.
Mhm.
And so you probably know from the courses I've produced, I have some tracks on the breath work there.
Mhm.
So I normally will start my practice with that, doing a breath work for 20 minutes or so. And then from there, I'll move into a meditation.
Mm. Let's talk about cancel culture that's been going on with Joe Rogan.
Mm.
Um, he's copped some criticism for using the N word a few times on his show. He's not a racist, Sonic Yogi, but Spotify is becoming one of those cancel culture things now. Neil Young's taken his songs down from Spotify.
Yeah, it's interesting. There seems to be quite a bit of controversy around that. So yeah, I feel the loss of cancel culture is that it discourages conversation,
Mm.
and I think we need to be open to have difficult conversations with each other without, demonizing one side or the other.
Mm.
Now, of course, if there's something that's encouraging violence or discrimination, that needs to be called out and dealt with officially.
Mhm.
But as far as just people having conversations, I think it's wise that we, take the approach of listening deeply to what someone else wants to express and what they have to say
Mm.
without fearing whatever that might be.
Exactly. But this is the problem with CNN. The amount of junk they go on about, they're writing stuff about Joe Rogan that's not true, and Joe Rogan should be suing them. I can't stand CNN.
Mm.
Oh, horrible.
Yeah, I have to say I don't really watch too much of that type of media.
Mm. So that's what's going on, the cancel culture. I've noticed too, when Black Lives Matter happened with Insight Timer, they were, I'd say they were supporting it, even, it goes against their policies because it's political. How do you feel about that?
How do I feel about Insight Timer supporting something?
Yeah, like Black Lives Matter back in 2020.
How are they supporting it?
They were promoting teachers, but they were using it, yeah, to support teachers.
Hmm. I guess I didn't really notice it um, in that perspective. Um, so I think supporting organizations that are fighting for equal treatment and equal rights for people is it's a good thing.
Mm,
I think people have
exactly.
different opinions about different specific organizations. Um, and I don't really have a comment about that, but in general, I think we're working towards equal and free
Exactly.
societies here, aren't we?
Well, that's what you want. Like, I've moved to Rumble. That's like how, YouTube started out. So I'm putting videos on Rumble now. And
Mm,
Mastodon, that's like how Twitter started. Because again, Twitter and all this stuff have become so greedy that if you're a small content creator like myself, they just filter you out like you don't exist.
mhm.
And Joe Rogan was saying he's got like some 200,000 followers on Instagram, but how many of those are the real 200,000 followers?
Mm.
Now, how do you feel about that?
About
Having so many followers, but there's fakes, there's bots, and they're not real followers.
I don't know. I haven't actually thought about that much. Um, I just think about it in terms of I have things that I want to share
Mhm.
and I put them out. And I figure if people want to, hear the next thing that I share, they'll follow. And if they don't, then I guess they don't want to hear it. So, um, but I don't really think too much about trying to boost that in any way other than just to put the content out there and to support it, with more content. And I feel like in general, if you put something out that your heart's into, then it'll find the people that it needs to find.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, that's kind of my opinion on that. And I feel like the focus on followers is a little bit of a misleading thing. Like I definitely think there's people with huge audiences like Joe Rogan or whatever, and they got there by being on certain platforms or putting out certain things or being controversial or whatever.
Mm.
So I say more power to them, I guess.
How do you feel it? Do you listen to Joe Rogan?
I mean, of course, I've heard of him, but I wouldn't call myself a regular listener by any stretch of the imagination. Yeah. How about you?
I do. I was listening to an episode with Dr. Robert Malone about the mRNA vaccine. This got taken down from YouTube and he brought up some very good points about Dr. Fauci in China and Wuhan. If this was a lab leak in Wuhan, why isn't there an investigation going on? Did Dr. Fauci have something to do with the coronavirus? And it was quite interesting because he's worked with Dr. Robert Malone's work with mRNA vaccines. Check it; it's on Spotify. Have a listen to it when you can.
Yeah, it sounds interesting. Well, he's definitely, covering controversial things. So, like I said, I think it's good for people to have all sorts of different conversations. And I think when conversations happen, out in the light of day, then people can make up their own mind, and there can be alternate opinions put out and that kind of thing.
Well, exactly. I mean, freedom of speech, I guess.
Exactly.
And but that's what the media companies are doing and how they control people.
Well, I think it's interesting because we're in an age where media has been democratized. And so now, to sort of allude to your earlier question about followers, now media is not in the US. When I was growing up, there was like 3 main channels, right? And that was CBS, ABC, NBC. And then cable came, and then there was more channels. But at the same time, it was not really a democracy. You had to, pass through certain hoops, or people had to choose you to be on the television. And then fast forward to today, we have more of a democratized sort of media. So we have platforms. And so anybody can get on a platform, and their voice, though, is amplified by how many people are actually listening to what they have to say. And so it's a completely different environment than it used to be. And so I think some of the growing pains of that is what we're dealing with, not only with democratized media, but sort of a decentralized cultural narrative. And so there are different narratives popping up all over. and we're trying to find, how do we have social cohesion? How do we have conversations that are civil when there are these different pockets of differing opinions and things popping up? So it's an interesting time. I think we're going through growing pains of what that means.
Mhm.
And also the world's becoming a lot smaller, you know. I mean, you know, we're talking into different continents. You know, it's not unusual to talk to people from different countries all the time now. Whereas, you know, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, that wasn't an everyday occurrence.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely the world's changed.
Mhm. So I think it's changing really rapidly too. And as we move forward in this rapid sort of change, we're going to be having different sort of conversations.
Mhm.
It's interesting that like the COVID virus in some way is a unifying cohesion socially in terms of the world. And so we're all having this similar conversation, and it's a point of commonality right now in the world, ironically. And it's a conversation that we're all having. So even though there's these kind of political tensions around these different things about the vaccine and whatnot, or you know, social justice, as you mentioned, these types of things, these are common conversations, I think, that we're all having around the world. And I think in some respects it's a good thing. We're like learning how to have these conversations.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the podcasting's been good as well. Getting to talk to people. But one day I'd like to have a studio and talk to people in person in a studio, like Joe Rogan.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool.
Because everything's done virtual for me. I do it literally in my room. You know, I just set up a green screen, $30 green screen.
I like it. It looks good.
Now I'm very thankful for people, you know, reviewing because I did that cover work myself on Canva. I wanted to do something different.
Nice.
What about yourself, music wise? You got any gigs coming up?
I've got a live gig this month with another sound healer named Gaia Alchemy, and she's a sound healer here in Atlanta, and we have a session coming up here. It's on my Instagram page, which is Sonic Yogi. So that's one gig.
Wow. That's awesome. You get a live stream that, or is that for you gonna play that for people?
I'm not gonna live stream it. It'll just be, you know, actually live for the people that are there. And I do have you know, some live streams that I'll do on Insight Timer. I don't have them on the calendar now, but if people want to follow on Insight Timer, I do live streams there, and so I'll have some more of those, you know, moving on in the year.
Wow, that's so cool that you're still keeping busy as well. For the audience, the new album's pretty good, by the way.
Thank you.
And so, what was your process making that?
So that was actually drawn from the live sessions on Insight Timer last year. So each time I would do a live session last year, which it was more during the pandemic. So there's kind of nothing going on in the world. So it gave me a lot of freedom to just kind of work on music on certain days. And so my basic process would be on the days that I would do the live sessions, which were in the evening, I would kind of start in the morning and just compose something. And so I would come up with sort of a basic idea, and then I would do the live stream. And sometimes I would even improvise, and other things might happen that I liked, and I would record each of those sessions. And so it was helping me to create ideas and sort of create an album that way, even though that wasn't my plan at the moment. But then I started to build up more material. And so then I took those ideas, recorded them, and then basically edited and mixed all of that stuff sort of the last 2 months of the year, and in January as well.
Yeah, because I like Tibetan bowls.
Nice.
As you can see on the cover, I think I've got a Tibetan bowl.
Oh, nice. And a fox there too.
Yeah, I thought I'd put a cat, dog, microphone, headphone, third eye.
Mm-hmm.
Get creative.
Nice, I like it.
No, thank you. But no, your style works pretty good as well with Tibetan bowls.
Yeah, I love the Tibetan bowls. They're really relaxing and kind of mysterious sounding.
Mm. And what about spiritual world? Are you studying any spirituality at the moment?
Well, I kind of think of that I'm always studying a little bit. So I'm always doing my meditation practice. I just had a online mini retreat on Insight Timer called Sound Mind, Silent Mind. Mm-hmm. And so the retreat is really kind of taking the idea of a longer meditation retreat and sort of condensing it. And so in terms of spiritual ideas, the idea of retreat is to kind of pull yourself out of the world, right? To retreat from the world. And it's in that retreat time that we can sort of engage in the process of mental transformation. Mm-hmm. But that typically has specific kind of markers or points that happen during the transformation. And so the mini retreat was to go over some of those things and help people understand, what might happen when you, enter into the subconscious realm, and start to really experience certain parts of your psyche that maybe you're not used to on a day-to-day basis. And so we talked a little bit of that and then did some practices. But in the mini retreat, it's really more informational. And I think in order to really experience those states, which are a little bit psychedelic in a way, that a deeper retreat experience is what people would need to do. So that might be several days long. But in that deeper experience, we can sort of calibrate our body and our mind towards those more non-ordinary states of consciousness.
Yeah, it's always good to have a retreat as much as you can.
Definitely.
Get away from the world. I tried to do some astral projection. But,
how did it go?
I fell asleep. But it's something I do. I have to be very relaxed. Mm. And I have to do it during, in bed. First time I'd done, I felt like something was just pulling me up.
And when you're astrally projecting, what is your goal there?
Trying to have the outer body experience.
Okay, so just to leave your body and then just do you want to go anywhere specific or just kind of be in the room?
Just be in the room.
Yeah. And how has that gone? Have you succeeded?
No, but like I said, Sonic Yogi, I could feel something's just pulling me,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't try and force it.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
Um, yeah, I've been doing a lot of chakra work lately.
Excellent. And what chakras are you focused on?
More the third eye,
Okay.
you know. But lately, I've just been having a lot of fear coming into my life.
Fear. Yeah.
You know,
About something specific or just rising up in your being?
do you ever get the things like what if? You get those what if this happens, what if that happens,
Mm-hmm.
you know, stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's, our mind is sort of biased to do those kinds of things. And that's where we can really find ourselves coming into the present is, what we all know from our meditation practice, but it helps to sort of focus the mind. And I think also with the idea of retreat and kind of taking ourselves into those deeper areas of the subconscious, when we're meditating, the tendency is that fear can arise because fear is often what's in the subconscious because we've stuffed it down. We made it subconscious for a reason because it's not pleasant on a daily basis. And so as we sort of relax our bodies and our minds, sometimes those things rise to the surface.
Mm-hmm.
And, there's a saying, no mud, no lotus.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think the mud is really like when those things rise in the mind, they become very strong in the thinking mind. And when they become strong, it's really unpleasant, but it's also a great opportunity to focus the mind. And so when those other sort of fearful what if things kind of come up in the mind, it's helpful to use that as an opportunity to focus in the present. And that actually illuminates what the present is, because when you hit the present moment and really center your mind in that concentration, those other sort of what if things typically become silent.
Yeah.
And so it's really kind of an interesting learning tool. I had an awakening about 10 years ago. And in that awakening, I faced really the worst fears of I could imagine.
Mm-hmm.
I could never have imagined that the mind could produce that much mental fear and suffering.
Mm-hmm.
But in that process, it really was a gift because I realized really through I kind of feel that it was divine guidance that I was just pointed to focus into the present moment. And as soon as I did, it was almost like an umbrella from all of that storm that was happening in my mind. And suddenly I was like in a place of really the most peace I'd ever felt.
That's what you want.
Yeah. So, but without the extreme of that particular situation, I'm not sure that it would have been as noticeable to find that the tension in that moment sort of pushed me into that place. So I guess my encouragement would be just to kind of, when those things come up, use it as a learning.
Well, back in 2018, I didn't have the very best year of my life, and I came across Michael McIntosh on Insight Timer. There was this thing called Cut the Cord. Went through heartbreak with a woman. Heartbreak sucks, Sonic Yogi. For 6 months, I was lost spiritually, emotionally. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I don't know, and I was just doing this meditation and just I felt like just cut the cord, you know. I've had to learn to let go of things in my life, you know, because lately, you know, before Christmas, I was like, you know, when you get like memories come back from 4 years ago and you think, why did I do that at the time? I felt like I just want to move on with my life.
Right.
That's what I want.
I totally get it. Well, I think that's your decision, right? You just have to decide.
And that's what I'll do.
Yeah. I think, you know, in each moment we have that choice. And certainly I can understand you come through a relationship or whatever, and it's hard to, you can't just like cut it off. You know, you obviously invested a lot of your heart and soul in that relationship. So there's definitely a grieving process. But I think I heard somebody say, and I don't remember who it was, but grief is the price we pay for love. So I guess the flip side is you just don't ever invest yourself fully in a relationship, but that's not very good either, is it?
No. Have you ever had grief in your life?
Yeah, I certainly have. I've been through breakups. My dad passed away in November, so the end of this year, and it wasn't, you know, something that was expected. So I definitely went through a lot of grieving, you know, grieving my dad and the loss. But, you know, I felt it was healing in a way too, though, because it just showed me how much I loved him. And I just let those emotions come without judging them. And, you know, I feel now at peace, and day to day, I'm, you know, over the major part, but then every once in a while, just something comes up and I'll grieve, you know, I still have that. So yeah, it's a process, I think. And it just reminds me of how much I cared for my dad, you know?
Yeah, we had a family friend, I think in January. One day, get a telephone call that she's passed away, and it's elderly, and it's not a very good way to start the day. I just felt like shit. Even, you know, I wasn't close to them. I just felt just not right for a day, you know. Start my day with that.
Yeah, well, sorry to hear that.
There's nothing you can do. There's a better place than Earth, I think.
Yeah, well, that's it. There's nothing we can really do in those situations, and we just do our best and remember them and honor them, and then carry on the best we can.
Sonic Yogi, I want to say thank you for coming back on the podcast today as well. Where can people buy your new album, stream it, follow you on social media?
So they can find it on my website, of course, which is sonicyogi.com. They'll be able to find it on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon. I'll be releasing them one track at a time on Insight Timer. And we'll be releasing one very soon there as well. So
Awesome.